Now, you were down in Dallas yesterday, and you had a whirlwind trip. You saw your mom.
I saw Mom.
And you saw the mayor.
I saw the mayor of Dallas, who is making whirlwinds of himself because he was a Democrat. He was known as a progressive, a star within the Democratic Party. And he decides that because of what's happened in the country, he's going to switch over to the Republican Party. He's the only mayor in the top 10 cities that is now a Republican. Well, apparently the chair of the Democratic Party got word of this, and he wasn't happy. Let's play it.
We have seen a recent rash of party switching. And I'm sure you all saw the news of the Dallas mayor.
Oh my God.
A Democrat elected by his constituents to serve as a Democrat and enact Democratic policies that he completely out of the blue flipped to the other side. It got my blood boiling. And what was the first thing that the mayor of Dallas did after he switched parties? He met with Vivek Ramaswamy, Tim Scott, and he flew to D.C. to meet with Kevin McCarthy. Bless his heart. And it's shameless, it's feckless, and it has serious consequences.
Next time he speaks, we need a microphone closer to him. Just saying.
Well, I just think it's shameful that you have the Democratic Party that has a huge problem with black men, and you have the only mayor of a major city that is a black man that has switched over to the party, and nothing goes through his head to say, what happened? What do we need to do? If this mayor is flipping, will there be others? Will there be other in our protective groups
Lawrence,
right now?
behind closed doors, do you think he is saying what's going on here as you see John James, Senator Tim Scott, Byron Donalds?
I don't think so, Brian. I have seen no move from the Democratic Party to say, hey, let's wise up, let's do something a little bit different. It's sad because that could be the decider of this next election.
Do you see those African Americans erupting in Chicago?
I know.
Illegal immigration?
It's happening everywhere. Of people saying, look, you're not putting us first. We already, the one thing that got me on that point, Brian, is the lady that said, look, we're already at the bottom of the barrel. We already have scraps right now. You already got people living on the streets, and crime is hitting us already. And then you're going to send illegals there?
And give them more than we get.
Give them more than we get? I mean, the Democrats have a real problem.
Sure, and they do. And one of the things he has stood for is he was never for defunding the police.
Right.
He cut the property taxes, which, of course, cutting taxes, where does that happen? In a town run by a Democratic mayor. And what is very telling is he switched parties even though he won re-election with, I think, 99% of the vote.
Yeah. So he didn't need this. So he when we were talking to him, this is what he said about the reason why he switched parties. Let's watch.
The reality is there's a really big gap at this point in time between who I am, what's important to me, what I'm about, and where the Democratic Party is and what's important to them and what they're about. And that's really come to a head since I've become the mayor. If you look at how I've governed, it's been Republican for fiscal conservative principles, pro-law enforcement, pro-public safety principles. I'm just saying that is the kind of Republican I want to be, and we need more of them.
Wow. Lawrence, did you get a sense of how voters in Dallas felt about that? I mean, they voted for a Democrat candidate. Now he's a Republican. That does kind of shake things
Bait
up.
and switch.
So
yeah.
I'm sure the mayor wouldn't mind me saying that he's from the hood of Dallas. Like, he represented Oak Cliff and West Dallas. So the people, for some reason, he has this connection with them. As we're doing the interview, people were blowing the horn. Hey, Mayor, how you doing?
They like the mayor. They don't care about the party.
They don't care about the party. Now, there's some people that have pushed back, the people that are the elites, the people that are involved with politics. But he goes, I grew up here. I've been governing as a Republican mayor for the last 4 years, and they didn't even know.
Right. His three goals. I love this guy. We spend a lot of time down in Dallas because one of our kids is there with our little grandson. His goals, he wants to make Dallas the safest big city in America, and they're already pretty much right there. He wants to establish the best park system in Texas and the lowest taxes in North Texas, which is tough.
I don't see any Democrat talking about that. And I think for the American people, they don't care about the R&D. They want their life better. Yeah. And I think the mayor talks about it.
Yeah, and it was Ronald Reagan, right, who said, I didn't leave the Democratic Party left me, so I'm sure that's how he feels, too.
And the only thing I would add is In New York this week, AOC and company are looking to raise taxes on the horrible millionaires, and they're the worst people. People who make over $250,000, and then a higher bracket for people who make over $323,000. So while New York is losing people, 25 to 42, who make that on a record rate, they're raising taxes.
That's not a
they
tax
don't
on
seem to get it.
millionaires.
And the businesses keep leaving.
Yeah, those are
Right. Not a tax on millionaires. That's a tax on thousandaires.
Yeah,
If it's at 250,000.
Yep.
Not doesn't take you far in New York City.
So we just saw a little
Just a
bit
little
of
bit.
that interview. You got more, right?
So the Dallas mayor, Johnson, hasn't done an interview until now, and you'll see the full thing coming up at 6:30 a.m. Eastern time. Excited for y'all to see
You
the
were
full
in Dallas yesterday, and you're here today.
Look at that.
thing. Made it back,
Just
Carla.
like that.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.